All right. Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee on Thursday, December 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m. First order of business, we have an opportunity for citizens' comments. We have an opportunity both here in person in the room as well as on Zoom. Any citizen wishing to speak before the committee, I will ask that you identify yourself and please spell your last name so that we can get it correct for the minutes. Please know that we allot 3 minutes. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Amy is our official timekeeper here, and she'll let you know when you have about 30 seconds left. And it does not look like we have anyone on Zoom just yet, so we'll start here in the room. So if there's anyone in the room who wishes to make a comment. Oh, and I'm sorry, I should have said, just so everyone hears me say it, I should have said this is an opportunity for us to listen and for you to be heard. So it's not a back and forth. We will listen to your comment and then we will thank you for it. Thank you. Welcome.
Hey, good evening. Scott Maddern, Maddern, Old Cart Road in Hamilton. A few points. I know tonight you're going to be talking about next phase for grammar school renovations, and Eric has some efforts he wants to kick off related to that. I want to thank him for his leadership on the grammar school renovations. I really appreciate that you're sticking with it. The schools aren't getting any younger just because we failed a lot of votes. For the next phase, I'd ask that I've asked before that you reflect on everything that we think maybe went wrong before, but in all your community planning efforts and outreach activities that you have, especially these working sessions that might be coming up, is like, keep the ed plan front and center. I think people lose, if you don't know what we're trying to achieve, any path will get you there. Anybody's ideas about doing something, they're not bad, they're just unfounded. They're not linked to the ed plan. And you are the epicenter of the ed plan. That's not challenged, it's the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And if that's not continually communicated to people so they know what we're trying to achieve, I think you're gonna have just all sorts of unfounded biases being presented and not know how to deal with them. And then in terms of dealing with them, I think, I've mentioned this before, I think you need a dedicated social media budget so that you promote what's going on, you watch what's happening in the social media world, because that's where the fight is. It's not here with the 3 people who are attending your meeting, it's in the hundreds of people that are in your social media ecosystem. And responding to that, being current with it, is critical, because your meetings of every 2 weeks just can't keep up with the news cycles that happen in real-time social media worlds. So the ed plan front and center, a dedicated social media budget for this next phase of the project, I believe is mandatory. And then I'd also ask, from a money standpoint, that you ask all the 5 boards, it hasn't really been part of your discussions yet,
30 seconds.
the select boards and the FinComs, to have an annual capital funding request. It's going to be a big number. We don't know what it is yet, but it's not prudent to not start saving for that now. We need to save it now. Our library took 10 years of planning, communication, and effort before it opened. The school renovations are bigger than that, so there's no reason to believe it'll be shorter. So therefore, we need to start saving now so the impact isn't just some ginormous number 10 years down the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'm assuming there's no one else in the room.
Nope.
And it doesn't appear that there's anyone on Zoom. So at this point, we will close the citizen comments on Zoom.
Closing out.
And we'll close them here. Thank you very much. Next up is a review of a portion of our protocols. I think that is you, Jen, is that right?
Yes. As elected members of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, we, including the superintendent, accept the high honor and trust that has been placed in us to ensure that the students of the district receive the best education possible. To that end, we hereby commit to the following in the conduct of our business. School committee members will attend meetings on time and be well prepared to discuss agenda items. While at meetings, members will stay focused on the agenda items and will not engage in communication outside of the agenda being discussed. When making decisions, school committee members will keep in mind utilizing the best information possible available, including research, best practices, public input, and financial considerations. Members will debate issues and not each other. Members will analyze carefully and debate fully whenever necessary prior to making decisions.
Thank you. Next up, we have a portion of the mission statement. Kristen?
Thank you. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School District School Committee's mission is to ensure our schools create graduates with a passion for lifelong learning, together with the critical skills needed to maximize their potential. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee will lead and inspire a district that is a source of civic pride and municipal engagement to serve the community for generations to come.
Thank you. If the committee is willing, I'd like to propose, you'll see that our student government representative, Emily Pitkin, is here, and I would like to, without objection, I'd like to move her up to before the superintendent's report, if everyone is okay with that? Sure. Okay, to you, Emily.
Hi, so I'm just here to talk about the student activities. To start with events, we just wrapped up Spirit Week and the Fall School Musical Chicago. Both were super successful, and it was a really fun and competitive week for all grades. There's also the Hamilton Wenham Regional High School Winter Concert and Art Show December 10th. That's at 6 p.m. Admissions are both events are free, and all community members are welcomed. We also have DECA coming up, and Districts is this upcoming Wednesday for the role plays, which is super exciting. And for sports, we had a super fun end to the football season, winning the Thanksgiving game against Ipswich on Thursday morning. This is also the first week of winter sports, and we have a bunch, and it's super exciting, and we're excited to get started with those. And then for clubs, there's been a bunch of new clubs that have been formed this year, and there's roughly 32 clubs overall, which is super fun, and there's a lot of different options for everyone. Over at the middle school, they are coming up on their weekly early release, and then they also have a winter concert at 7 p.m. This is going to be taking place at the high school. And then we have just winter break approaching, and they also have a bunch of clubs that are thriving with around 14, and they are starting their winter intramurals. Over at Winthrop, they have the book fair today and tomorrow, and they also have their report cards being published. The Holiday Boutique is also this Saturday, and they're looking for volunteers, which is super fun, and it's always a great way to kind of like a throwback going back there. And then at Bucher, their music program is doing really well, and they have a bunch of lessons for people who are just learning how to play an instrument, and then they also have the ensemble. And they're also hosting the school committee meeting. And then at Cutler, they have the Holiday Solstice Read Aloud / Lantern Craft at 6 p.m. on the 17th, and they are preparing for winter break. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's always great to hear, and I love the work that you did in making sure that we got a lot of information about the elementary schools as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. It sounds, especially the music program at Bucher, sounds like you got some good information about that one.
Yeah.
So thank you. Does anyone have any questions or anything for Emily?
No.
Great. Thank you, Emily. I'm guessing you may have other places to be. We are fascinating and open to the public, but, so, however, you are also welcome to go if you're done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Always great to have the student representative here.
Thank you, Amy.
So we did take things out of order. You'll notice that we put the superintendent report up at closer to the top of the meeting. It's just something we're testing out. It was Amy's suggestion that, lots of times Eric has information that's interesting to the public, and they might be perhaps more engaged near the beginning of the meeting. So we'll see. Eric?
I thought it was because you wanted my exciting personality up front.
That was.
Yeah.
Keep everyone interested all the way through.
All right, so a few quick things. We have an interesting release this past week of the graduation requirements at the state level. I want to be very clear in this. They are not etched in stone. They have released it, and they are really shopping it about to see what different groups think about their plan. The plan really includes rigorous coursework connected to higher ed, trying to make connections to courses in higher ed. Demonstration of mastery, which will include some type of end-of-course assessment. I was in a webinar with the commissioner yesterday, and they were talking about, picking certain courses at different grade levels and having all of those end-of-course assessments managed by the state. Sounds a little bit to me like MCAS again, but that's part of what they're thinking about. They're also looking at giving kids the opportunity to do capstones and portfolios. And then kids as low as into the elementary grades will be expected to use some level of career and academic planning, which includes the MyCap program, which is the state-run program that helps kids to kind of find their way. There's a number of them out there. We used to use Naviance. They're different just ways usually older kids use to determine college decisions, directions, etc. MyCap is one that's been sponsored by the state, and they are now leaning into that hard. We do not use it because we didn't think it was robust enough for our kids, so that may present an issue down the road as we move forward. They're still shopping around town. Superintendents are weighing in on it. I am on both the legislative committee and on the graduation requirements committee for the superintendent's group. So I'll get information and bring it back as soon as I can, but I just want people to know it's not in stone. Some people immediately emailed me like, what does this mean for my kid? It doesn't mean anything because they're really just shopping it around. So that's one thing. You want to do questions on that?
I have a question. No, I just had a question about, I know it's not set in stone. I just want to have a question about students who are graduating this year.
Mm-hmm.
We did some work.
Correct.
To make sure that they have clarity about so.
That was purposeful so that
Right,
these kids didn't get caught in the loop at the end of the year.
So
we're staying with that with
Right,
our
this-
current class of 26.
okay.
Yep. That was purposeful because I think they knew this would take longer than a year to get moving forward, so.
So
it's a good
regardless,
question.
the class of 26 has clarity about what they need.
They are,
And
yep.
that, okay.
We approved it.
Just making sure,
We
because that.
approved it, it'll be submitted to the state mid-December, and then we'll be good to go.
Yep, okay.
A couple of other things. We had the second meeting of the school start time committee. We have about, 13 members on that committee working towards this past meeting. We had breakout groups. I had to break out my breakout group skills for Zoom, which I haven't done in a while. But we had different great breakout rooms and had people brainstorm about impact points related to 3 areas so far: athletics and after-school activities. That's one area. The second area was transportation. And then the third area was looking at employment and after-school care. So those were the first 3 areas we started. We did kind of round-robin brainstorms. One group started in each, then we shifted every few minutes to give people an opportunity to weigh in. We had one of the gentlemen from the bus company in the meeting room so he could answer some specific questions. Next meeting, we'll do some more of that, but also we'll bring in the athletic director to get some perspective from him. And then we'll start to begin to formulate a direction so that we can meet the March deadline. So it's a good group. It's actually a really good group. We grew from 5 to 13 really quickly, 14 plus me, including me, but it's a good mix of people, with people from the community, parents from elementary, parents from middle, parents from high school, teachers who are parents, teachers from each of the grade levels, counselors, nurses, so it's a good mix of people. So we'll keep doing that work, and I'll keep getting updates to the committee. And then finally, this past week, we had geo-imaging done of the middle school parking lot. We did not find any gold, so sorry about that, but we, as you remember, some new people may not know, the committee, I think 3 years ago now, agreed to begin to look towards the development and installation of a solar canopy in the middle school parking lot, which would give us about 70 to 80% of the electricity for the middle school. And essentially what happens is the company comes in, they build the solar canopy, and then they sell electricity to us at a drastically reduced rate, like 8 cents a kilowatt. So it's about $1.5 million savings over a 20-year period. You lock in a contract for 20 years with this company, and it'll be a big savings for us as we move forward. If it all comes to fruition, we're still waiting for approvals from National Grid. It's left the State House study realm, so now it's in the hands of National Grid. We should know by mid-January where we're going to go from that point, how long it would take to actually get something up and running, but it'll still have to come back to the committee one more time and then review that and get approvals and then move forward. And I just wanted to touch on one. Emily Pickens talked about the winter concert at the middle school. That's on December 16th. And then the high school winter concert is on December 10th, and they do an art show at 6, and then at 10 o'clock, I'll be driving home then, but it's at 7 o'clock they'll do a concert. So just wanted to clarify. She had it in her presentation, but I don't think she had the dates. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody have questions? I was adding the winter concert to my calendar. All right. Next up is our consent agenda. Does anyone have any items that they'd like to hold from the consent agenda? No. Julia?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second by Jen Carr. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes. Okay. So next, this is the warrant for the election of school committee members. This is the language that we're required to put out, and we all, once we approve it, it needs to be signed. The thing that members of the committee should understand and members of the public should understand is that it's a little bit, just to be clear, that they're up in April, there will be 3 seats open on the school committee that people could run for. 2 of those seats, which are the seats that Megan and I hold, are 3-year terms, and then one of the seats, which is the seat that Kristen holds, is a 2-year term. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on that.
It's very confusing.
It is confusing, but that is the way, and that is because of the being appointed, that like if you're fulfilling the rest of a term. It just so happened that Megan's fulfilling a term that's ending.
Got it.
If that makes sense?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is that reflected on the ballot?
Yes.
Or like
Yes, and we've actually done this before.
Okay.
So yes, it's reflected on the ballot. It will say candidates for, like, in theory, any candidate could run for the 2-year term
That was my
or the
question.
3-year term. You have to declare that, so that
Okay.
they would be separate. Like, it would say, like, candidates running for a 3-year term, it would have the list of candidates that are doing that, and it would tell you how many, it would, vote for 2, because there's 2 of those, and then it would say candidates running for the 2-year term, however many candidates vote for 1, because there's just 1. The other thing that is important, probably more important to school committee members than it is to the public, but just so people are clear, if you read the second part here, our regional agreement states that if you're running for re-election, that you can declare your candidacy by writing a letter to the town clerk, but if you're running as the first time running for election, you need to obtain signatures. So that would apply to anyone who's been appointed, and also anyone from the public who is interested in running for the seats would need to obtain the signatures. That was a lot. Does anyone have any questions on this? Actually, we should probably have a motion.
Do I need to read specific language for this?
That's a great question. I don't think so. I think it's as presented.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham School Committee approve the warrant for election of school committee members as presented.
Second.
Second by Jen Carr. So does anyone have any questions about this? Okay, is there any further discussion? All right. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes. I assume we have a copy.
Before you leave.
Before you leave,
have it this
sign
time.
it, yes.
Before you leave, we got to all sign it.
Yes, it needs to be
Thank you.
signed, and Julia, well, it's clear there. I was going to say, the secretary is like at the bottom. It's like officially coming from the secretary.
Okay.
So, all right, next up is a potential vote on the 2027-2028 school calendar. We always try to have 2 on the books, so, do you, Eric?
Sure, yeah, the agreements that we have with the unions are to have at least 2 years out. So we, following that process, usually right around late October, we start to develop the calendar for 2 years out, and then in November, late November and mid-November, we give it to the union for them to review, and we kind of cross-reference information, make sure everybody has the same understanding of what the schedule is, and then publish this draft for your approval. I will say we have in the past had to change calendars for various reasons because of different things that have come up, so no calendar is ever etched in stone, so don't feel like if you vote for it, it's stuck, but we just want to make sure we're continuing to follow the language that's in our contracts, and also to kind of give the general public a good idea of start dates and end dates and vacation times, so they can plan.
So, and you're looking for a vote this evening, correct? So maybe we'll start off with a motion, and then we can discuss.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham School Committee vote to approve the 2027-2028 school year calendar as presented.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. Are there any questions?
I had one quick question. I noticed in September of '27, the early release day is the first Wednesday of the month, and in the other months, it's the second Wednesday of the month, so I just wanted to double check if that was purposeful or a typo.
In September?
Yeah.
That's the second Wednesday of the month.
It is.
The first
Oh,
one's
it
a
is.
teacher
I
workshop
see.
day,
There's
so
a
it's,
TW one. Okay, sorry.
no
My
worries.
mistake. Yeah.
It's a little confusing with the
Okay.
TWs in there.
Okay,
Yep.
just wanted to check. Yep.
I was hesitant because it's the first day of school and then it's
Yes.
an early
I
release,
know.
but that's our agreements are written.
Yep.
Does anybody else have questions?
I don't think so.
I did look at it. I mean, like Eric said, sometimes people do see something or find something that like doesn't make sense or doesn't, but, it didn't seem, Nothing leaped out at me, so, right. Anything else? No? All right, looks like we're ready to vote. Right, all those in favor? That is unanimous of the 6 members present, and the motion passes. Thank you for that work. Next up is to you, Eric.
So it's was I think 2 meetings ago, committee tasked me with coming up with process for, at that time we were talking about listening sessions. We've talked to a number of people and gotten feedback to say, do not call them listening sessions, so community conversations. So this is what I put together that it seems to make sense, gives us some time to have 2 meetings to gather feedback and process that feedback in time for a vote if we need to for a town meeting, or to at least get our ducks in a row. So these sessions would be run by me. They'd be run in a workshop format. The idea would be to have a similar situation to here, except tables, and try to mix some people up and get some interactions between the tables, do some group sharing, just to dig into what types of things and themes that the community has in mind. You know, where do we go from here is the question everybody continues to ask. And we are seeing several themes that are reoccurring: cost and tax impact, preservation of the small neighborhood schools, process transparency and trust, and then understanding of options. So figuring that out is something we'd like to do through these sessions. I figured we can run them for about 90 minutes. I have a pretty good idea how to structure those, and then just use that process to bring information together, create a report, bring it to the committee, and then try to determine some next steps with the committee right around that early February when we're voting the final budget, but also creating our warrant articles and things like that. So if we need to, we're still within the 45-day window. We have an extra week kind of built in there because they moved town meeting, so that's helpful. But I just wanted to make sure this came on quickly enough so that we could get it up and running. The second item on the exhibit is just a sample of a mailer that we would use, two-sided mailer that we use, very simple and straightforward. The question I have for the committee is, on the back side of it, it says in red, well, it says that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District would like to invite all community members to an open community conversation with the superintendent and members of the school committee. The hope is school committee members will be there listening. So I'm not sure that that belongs in there, but I wanted to check with the committee to see if you wanted to keep that in there, take it out. It's really just kind of a preference of the committee.
Are you asking if we
I think
will
it's
be there,
fine.
or if you want us to?
No, it's really, the community conversation is really, it's literally me running a workshop for the community 2 times. So the debate we had in central office was, do we want to have the superintendent and members of the committee, or the school committee really just there to be participants in the workshop?
Yeah, I just don't want us to be a distraction, and I just,
Yeah.
I think that it should be clear that we're not there to lead it. We are there as, like, participants and listening.
Right, I guess I want to make sure I understand the question, because I think that's what Amy, and maybe we're all saying the same thing. I think, in my mind, it would be really important that there are school committee members there to listen, observe, take notes, be present. But I wouldn't want people, like, the idea is, it's not for, opportunity is for the community to have a conversation, not
Right.
for, we have lots of opportunities to say what we think publicly.
I also, sorry, I don't mean.
No, go ahead. So,
I have the same question, it is what I was trying to ask, but I also would like people, if they would like to have conversation with us, to be
Yes.
able to ask. So I wonder if there's a way to structure the event so that, we can listen, and then also if people want to come talk to us.
Sure.
Invite them to do that.
Right, I'm wondering if even maybe that, like, it could even be, like Eric said, 90 minutes, it could even be, like, before or after, that
Yeah.
that committee members are just,
Hang out and
not in this kind of a setting, just in a casual kind of a setting, or more relaxed, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that might be helpful because as you stated for community comment, it's not really an opportunity for us to engage back in a
Right.
dialogue. And so this might open that door a little bit for communication.
Yeah, but I mean, and I know Eric has here's a separate question of just how to like write the.
How to word it.
How to word it, but I think we need to get clarity on what we want it to look like first. Jen?
My concern is violation of open meeting law.
Well, we'd have to post it as a meeting.
Yeah, we'd have to post it
Okay,
as a
so we would
meeting.
all be there and,
Or
Even if 4 people were there,
four
we'd
of us
still have to
came, we'd have to
post it.
post it as a meeting. But I would I'm willing to do the legwork to sort of find out, like, okay, so we post it, but then what are the rules around how it works? And, because we're not going to be sitting around the way that we do here, we wouldn't take any votes.
No.
So, we
Make decisions.
we post a workshop too, which is something that we just discuss and we don't make any decisions, so. But yeah, I would definitely find out about the logistics of that, but I think we definitely have to post it if 4 of us would be there. Yeah.
My other concern is the time, like, will it be childcare provided? Because that's going to disenfranchise a lot of people.
Sure is.
Right,
Like my cohort.
yeah, who, can't bring their kids and to the meeting.
Or should one be at a different time of day, like a different day part?
I mean, I will say, as a parent of young children myself, anytime after 7:30 is generally more amenable to those of us who have kids who go to bed at 7:15. Then we can scoot out and go to something like this. Just a suggestion.
Is that feasible to do like one at one time and one at another time?
Yeah, that's why I brought this here. I wanted to get some feedback on that. I mean, I was even thinking 1 in the morning, 1 at night. We don't get a lot of attendees in the morning.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a early afternoon and a 7 or a 7:30 or something like that.
Well, what's interesting about that is that this is a community conversation, not a parents' conversation. And so it's true, we don't get a ton of parent participation in the morning, but you might get seniors in the morning. And to Megan's point, like, maybe you do a 7:30 one in the evening, and then, I don't know, because that's been a long time, oftentimes we'll we'll do one during the day, one during, and you just don't get a lot of people during the day.
Or even like anytime, I mean, there's also parents who, more folks work from home, or, might be able to sneak away during the day too. So you might be
You might.
surprised.
You might.
Could be.
A noon one.
I like the idea of having it at 2 different times. I don't have deep thoughts about what those 2 different times
Yeah,
are,
same.
but it's, that it gives 2 different possibilities depending on people's schedules.
particularly if one is before it gets dark, because that was a
Well,
complaint
it's
of
January.
several. But that was a complaint of several seniors, is that they didn't want to drive in the dark.
Correct. That was a big discussion.
Yeah, so maybe we do a morning and then you do maybe a 9 AM and I just have to figure out parking during the, that's the only problem
Oh,
at the
yeah,
high
that's,
school.
if we
There
have it
is
on school property.
Zero parking
During the school day.
during the
that's
school
hard.
day.
Would the library let us
Or
have
the
it?
rec center, maybe, like over there,
We'd have to pay, rent it,
You
maybe.
can ask.
Yeah, that's a thought. I mean, yeah.
Can we also make sure these get posted in big letters in the newspaper? so
Oh, yeah, we'll
everybody sees
share it
them?
with all the local news. These are going to get mailed to every single house in the community. That's the plan.
My other concern is that it's really clear what we want to walk away with at the end of it, or what the purpose that we're trying to get at is. Like, this is a conversation, we're getting information. I think it's worded really well, but sometimes I feel like people will come, they'll have an opinion, they'll tell us something, and then they get mad when we don't implement it. So we have to explain, like, this is a conversation, we're taking all viewpoints into consideration. Is it going to be recorded also, or no?
I can check with cable. I'm not sure if they'd be able to do it in the library. They could, maybe if we do it in the CAF, but I can ask, I'll ask
Yeah, and,
WCAM.
I mean, that's part of the, I mean, it's a good point, but we've all, it's part of making it, and that would be on you if you're, is making it clear that it's a conversation we're throwing, we're, like, but yes, that's a valid point. I'm sort of still focused on the whether, I guess I'm leaning, I'd like to hear what other people think about, like, how to, whether or not to include, like, and members of the school committee. I don't know what you guys think. I'm sort of, I think school committee, I really want school committee members to be there. I think that's really important. I'm not so sure how important it is to put it in here, because that's not the focus. It's not really, it's not the focus, like what, I don't know.
And it also, like, my concern would be that people would show up to harangue school committee members, not to have a constructive discussion.
Well, let's give people some, like, people might want to come and just talk to the school committee, and that's okay, but the point is a broader conversation. So, whether they wanted to give, I don't know, I guess I in some ways I'm very torn, because I do want people to know that the school committee is going to be there to listen and hear and witness this conversation and gain from it. But I also feel like what's really important is the community aspect of this, not really the school committee aspect. And so I'm sort of torn about.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and the focus is a workshop, so it's
Yeah.
it's more of like a
It's a
workshop style.
workshop, right?
I know it can be very hard to sort of wordsmith something as a group, but does it help to say that it's a community conversation led by the superintendent to share thoughts, perspectives, and ideas, and then, I don't know, I know that the card is almost full, but as a second sentence, say that representatives of the school committee will also be in attendance, something to that, and because if I'm understanding it correctly, it's like we're trying to sort of differentiate between sort of the committee presenting or leading the conversation or facilitating the conversation, as opposed to more being.
Or being the conversation.
Right, as
that,
opposed
like,
to more making
that-
sure we're having a firsthand experience listening to the community.
Yeah, I like the idea of, for me, I like that, like, in some way or form, school committee members will be in attendance. I think that's that's the right level, like, they'll be there, but that's not the focus. The focus is I like
Because
that.
I also think there could be some members of the community that might be disappointed if there weren't school committee members there. I
Yeah.
mean, there will be people with all diversity of opinion about the right role for the committee in this. So I think better for some of us, at least, to be there in some way,
Yeah,
I think it makes sense. I like how you worded it. School committee members will also be in attendance to,
Or just maybe we'll also
it would
be in
just be in
attendance?
attendance, right?
period.
Right.
But I like led by the superintendent. Do
Yeah,
you
then
think,
maybe-
or
maybe.
do you not want to say that, Eric? Does that?
facilitated.
Yeah,
Facilitated, yeah, I could do, facilitated is probably a good word.
yeah.
Are you thinking of having,
It could even just say community conversations to share thoughts, perspectives, and it
Right.
literally doesn't have to
Yeah.
have
Good, yeah.
any-
Could just be silent on the
Yeah.
detail
Yeah,
of the.
I kind of think that might be better.
Okay,
do you have a format in mind?
yep.
Okay. Cool. Secret. And I am planning on being there. I don't know if
Me too.
that is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, it will matter to committee members too, I'm sure, what time these things are happening.
Yeah, I could definitely do the 7th early in the morning, but I can't do the 29th, I have classes.
Same.
And it's going to be just
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, I could do the
it's
29th.
just like
You can
the
go.
Right, just like the community, it'll be a mix and match of,
We're part of the community.
part of the community.
Okay.
Right, like daytime's very hard for me, but I
Yep.
can do a nighttime.
Right, exactly. No, and I think that was good feedback about, like, sometimes I think I wouldn't necessarily like to think about. Like, later is actually easier because the kids have gone to bed and it's a little bit easier.
Except you hoped you had that much quiet time.
Right.
But
Right.
I think this is a great
My
idea.
free evenings are.
Eric, thank you for offering to lead this. I think it is really, really great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the goal will be to take this information, put together a report, get it to the committee early February. And that way, it's front and center in our conversations at budget, approval, warrant design for the town meetings. And if we need anything to come out of this to be in town meeting, we have that leverage.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
All right. Thank you. Did you feel like you got what you needed?
Yep, perfect.
There,
Thank you.
okay. Next up, we added this ASHRAE 241 update at the request of committee member. This was back in, I wrote it down, but I don't remember when it was, but in the spring, the committee had a vote to investigate the ASHRAE 241 air quality standards, to investigate cost of upgrading our systems to that standard. Part of the motion stipulated that we would get this estimate of cost only if it didn't cost us money to get the estimate. And anyway, this is the follow-up to that, to close out this item. Eric, can you make it bigger up there, or I guess I can pull it
Yeah.
up?
Is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna take it?
Yep.
Okay. So it was Mr. Frankel who requested this, I think, last meeting, to bring back around. Dana hit on the high points. The second paragraph talked about B2Q as a company that we worked with that did kind of an overview. So Vicky Massoni, who is the energy manager for the town of Hamilton and Wenham and a few others, connected us up with this B2Q, who was able to start to look at some of the realities of what it would cost just to update and upgrade some of the equipment, just HVAC, not to 241. 241 is really expensive. It's really high-end, high-grade. But these are some of the options that they came to us with. Like, option one would be 3.4 million just at the Bucher alone. That doesn't count anything with hazardous materials or retrofit costs due to construction constraints like the building structure, et cetera. So these are really order of magnitude estimates that were given, and the company, that gave these could give no guarantee that a construction company would say, yeah, I'll do it for that. So it's just kind of an order of magnitude of showing how we could electrify basically our HVAC systems at all the schools and get rid of all the fossil fuels. So we just wanted to close this out. It was a motion many months ago, and just bring it back around. So.
Does anyone have any questions?
I kind of do, I guess. Kind of. That's not a good way to start a question. In the chart, so this is estimates for upgrading electrical, right, in each school, which we're assuming would be kind of like the base to the project of doing of meeting this ASHRAE standard. Like, we would need to do that in order to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it'll be electrifying the current systems, which are a combination of fossil fuels.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it would be all the way back to a ventilation systems that are on the roof, ventilation system, boilers and pumps that might be in, quote, a boiler room. So anything that's related to those items, as well as what's happening in the classroom. So like some of our older classrooms have ventilators that are original. They're literally a unit that is either run by electricity, which is not a common thing, or in most cases, steam. Steam heat is run through, and then an electric motor turns on, and that's how the room is heat. So this would convert everything to straight electric,
Got it.
which would be, this doesn't look at anything outside of the buildings either, like, okay, do we need a transformer
Right.
size increase to be able to pull something like this off? Probably at the high school, we ran into that problem with the boiler installation at the high school, where they wanted $600,000 to put an upgraded transformer across the street if we were going to go all electric. So
Got it.
these are really order of magnitude. They're really like, we think you could do it for this, but we're not 100% nailed down on it. So
Thank you.
Okay.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
there's a lot of money.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else on this? Okay. So, David, who's the one who requested that we bring this back, is unfortunately not here this evening, but purpose of bringing this back is to fulfill that motion is complete and that the report has been brought to the committee. So my goal is to have this be complete at this time.
Thank you.
Right. All right. Next, we are moving on to FY27 budget discussion.
Oh, thank you. Handouts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
An awkward moment during a test.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. As you remember, we presented the budget, the initial preliminary budget last meeting. Vinnie went through a number of slides, gave many pages of information, so I wanted to try to help the committee walk through a conversation tonight to give us some direction of where we want to go. We've talked about some of the ins and outs and the ups and downs and the increases and why. I think everybody understands that, but if you don't, please ask, because Vinnie and I want to make sure everybody's clear on what's out there. But right now, in conversations with the towns, after we've talked with them at both the quintuple level of the full boards, and also at the individual levels with town managers and their budget people, the town of Hamilton is asking us to reduce their share, so keep that in mind, their share by $1.4 million. And bear with me as I go through this, I'll help you kind of see what that number looks like. And in the same concern, in the same conversation, different town, we had Wenham, they were asking to reduce their share by approximately $1 million. So if you look at those numbers, keep those numbers in your head for a little bit, and I'll walk you through some better detail in another slide, but that's roughly what they're asking us to do. And if you're looking at reducing Wenham by $1 million, that reduces Hamilton by $2 million. Remember, it's 2 to 1, basically, when we do an assessment, which would be a total of $3 million in reductions. So what options do we have? And this is certainly not an exhaustive list. I just wanted to put some items on the table. You may have other ones that you may come up with. We can kick the can down the road and try to backfill with whatever we have. Something similar last year. Not my favorite option, not Vinnie's either. We can say, okay, we'll leave the budget as it is and go for an override in each town of everything that's in the current budgets. You could try to reduce between $1 and $3 million out of the budget as it was presented. You could do a combination of override and some reductions in the budget. And then you could look into things like, how do we reconfigure the district to save money while also probably having to do some reductions. That's a little more complex, and I think that's a wider community conversation, but I just wanted to throw some options on the table. You certainly may have other options, but just the idea here is just to open the discussion tonight. So I just took a number. I said, what's 5% of reductions look like in our budget? It's about $2 million. If you cut 5%, I've asked our leadership team to go through the exercise and say, okay, I'll use the Bucher, they're about $3.7 million, $3.8 million total. Take 5% of that, do some reductions, and we did that in every area, including athletics, central office, technology, special education. We asked everybody to sit. We sat in a meeting and went through trying to get people to do a 5% reduction. That was not an easy exercise and very uncomfortable, because I'll show you why. These are the things that get impacted: supplies, faculty and staff, athletic user fees would increase, contracted services would be lost, professional development and memberships would be either reduced or cut completely, home hospital tutoring would be reduced, reducing home services. We would not update our devices, so next year I think the high school teachers are due for their rotation every 5 years. We would not update those computers, just leave what they have. Losing some central office functions, cutting late buses, 1, maybe 2. There are 2 currently now. Stipends for extracurriculars would be reduced or cut out completely. Graduation expenses would have to be reduced, and then transportation reductions where we could. Those are a little bit harder because transportation in a regional school district is required, but we might have to look differently at, say, special ed transportation, some of those costs, athletics transportation, some of those costs. So just some things that fall just in that 5% bucket, just me looking over what everybody would put in a list for me to say, okay, these are the things that are showing up in there. Some things to think about. Upcoming negotiations, we have ESPs. We're starting them on the 11th, I believe, right? December 11th. So that's a process we have to think about that will impact next year's budget if we successfully negotiate a contract between now and the end of the school year. The end of the school year. That would impact the budget, we suspect, in some way, shape, or form. E&D supplementation is problematic. We put $2 million in the budget from E&D last year to offset rather than reduce, and that right now is still something we're going to wrestle with. So if we were to say, yeah, let's do that again, if we could actually afford to do it, we would say, let's do that again. We'd be doing this again next year at a higher magnitude, a higher volume of reductions. New capital, high school roof, as you know, is in the MSBA process right now, due to be discussed and hopefully accepted in the December MSBA meeting. That's about a $5.84 million ask. And then OPEB, is that our priority? Do we leave it as a priority? We agreed many years ago to continuously add $50,000 to OPEB each year through 2032, I believe it is, and then lock it at that point. So right now, we're in this budget for next FY27, we're looking at contributing $350,000 in OPEB. You know, is that something that you want to continue to do? You want to freeze, or you want to look at reducing? Vinny had spoke about the budget. There's about $600,000 in needed maintenance that's in the budget, built into the budget, and not a separate capital ask. The reason being is a separate capital ask is a one-time shot. Building it into the budget gives us the opportunity to continue to fix and repair things. And if I had Curtis here right now, he would tell you he's out of money. He is currently out of money. Vinny and I had conversations with him. He does not have the ability to do some of the things we need to do, so we may be moving some money around just in the FY26 budget. And then do you reduce the fund, the $100,000 that we set aside for capital stabilization? You know, we want to continue to try to fund that so that future capital expenses can be offset, but that's another area to look at if you're looking at not directly impacting the classrooms. So let me talk a little bit about impacts. Currently, we're looking at $3.896 million increase. That, and you guys, you've seen the slides related to salaries, step and column changes, et cetera, insurance increases, a lot of things that have contributed to that number, which breaks down to Hamilton increase being 2.4 million, and the Wenham increase currently at 1.4 million. Now remember, Wenham's asking us to reduce the 1.4 to 495,000. So let me show you how that works. If you dropped $1 million out of the current budget scenario, that would drop Hamilton down to $1.7 million increase, which is about 7.1%, and Wenham down 1.2 million, which is about 9.1%. If you dropped 1.5 million, you're looking at Hamilton dropping down to 5.8% increase, and Wenham dropping down to a 7.74% increase. If you dropped $2 million, reduced $2 million from the current budget scenario, that would drop Hamilton down to 4.46% increase, or about $1 million, and then Wenham at 6.38% increase. And then I'm going to stop at this one, $2.5 million. If you were to cut $2.5 million from this budget, Hamilton would drop down to a 3.12% increase over last year, and Wenham would be 5.01% increase over last year. So a couple of things I want to throw on the table along with these numbers. Remember this chart that Vinny did? It was very fancy, moved in and out, different parts and pieces. I'm going to steal this microphone so everybody can hear me, but items like health and life insurance, other fixed benefits, tuitions, out-of-district tuitions, required transportation, maintenance and cleaning supplies, utilities, these items right here really can't be reduced. We can't just cut our benefits. We don't have that ability. We can't just cut fixed charges. We can't cut out-of-district tuitions. They tell us what we pay. Required transportation is required by the state, so we can't really cut that. So now you're looking from here, which is athletics in this light blue, around to here. And this is where the big impact comes in, your staffing. So I just wanted to put that up there to just give people an idea of what types of things we're looking at from the perspective of where we can look and where we can't. And I wanted to just really get all this in front of you tonight so that we could have a discussion, open a discussion, get some ideas, and hopefully Vinny and I can walk away with a direction from the committee, because we have 2 meetings until the initial budget presentation in January, which is always kind of, this is roughly where we're going to be at. So next meeting, we would come back with whatever direction we got from the committee, whether it's reductions or bring the whole thing back. So really just wanted to get that conversation going in public and give you some information to hopefully kick that off. So I'm going to switch back to my other seat.
Okay, thank you for that. All right. I have 8 million thoughts. Other people? Let's go.
I just have a clarifying question, I think. In the slide that's the impact of cut slide with the rectangle boxes that show like the -$1 million, -1,500. So if I'm understanding this correctly, to reduce by 1.4 million for Hamilton and $1 million by Wenham, we're somewhere around cutting $2 million from the budget? That means like the third rectangle down? Is that correct?
3 million, right? To get to what they want? 3 million?
Get to what the towns are asking for?
They want 2.4 million.
About 3 million, okay.
For both of them to avoid.
Both of them to avoid,
Yeah.
okay.
Right, but we can't cut $1 million from Wenham and then only 1.4 million from Hamilton.
Correct.
Oh, right, so we'd have to
So,
cut 3.
so this is showing how that kind of shakes out between both
Right.
towns.
You have really well done to be able to pick that block. I was going to, during the conversation, say, like, one of the places you can be where Hamilton is comfortable, maybe that third block, but Wenham, I think, would still be problematic, given the information they've given us. I don't have an exact number because I don't know Wenham's exact revenues,
Yeah.
what their revenue projection is, but that number is probably over where they can comfortably, they're looking to try to get 4% growth annually out of the government side and the school side. It's also impacted because the shift went to Wenham 2 years in a row, this year and next year, which
Right.
was $140,000, I think $138,000. Just before we even started doing anything, they got $130,000.
And, well, I'm sure we're going to discuss, but and the E&D, which we did very publicly, purposefully.
Yeah.
The towns were aware of what the impacts, that we knew that the E&D use last year was going to create this.
Create a
$1
gap.
million shortfall.
Yeah, I mean, so this is not, it doesn't make it not real, it just means that it's something we did know.
I have another question, which I don't relish asking, I'm just curious, because I'm trying to understand all the
Yeah.
facts or possibilities, and I'm not endorsing any one line of anything. Is it realistically feasible to engage in midterm bargaining with the teachers' union? Because under their agreement, it says if there's a change in economic conditions and so forth, we can do that. I don't know if this meets that standard, but I just am, I don't know, I'm not aware of precedent for that in any district in the area, but I'm just,
You can
Wondering.
make the request, they don't need to
right.
say yes. I mean, you could certainly go forward and say, okay, we have a serious economic issue here. Let's relook at things. You could make that request. I don't know that they would have to agree to come to the table because they already have an agreement.
Right, right. Okay.
Other people? I have some thoughts.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, I don't know if people have questions first, or if you, because I think, my understanding is you really do need direction from us, like,
Yeah.
about what you want us, so, like, I don't know if people are willing to sort of dive in on what you think the direction that you're,
I'm not in favor of kicking the can, I would
No,
say.
I don't wanna
In
either.
general. So if we can eliminate one of these bullets, we're down to 4.
right, I mean,
That's true. That's a good point.
Well, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Process of
well, and
elimination.
again, they're not all of them, I mean,
Right,
in
it's
fact.
not
you-
exhaustive,
like, and-
Derek's
and
point.
in fact, like, you just asked a question about something, like, is it even feasible to do that? Like, there might be other questions that people might ask that might be something, like, could we do something? I don't have one, but.
Well, I just asked that because it's our biggest expense category.
Yep.
That's why,
Yeah, Jen?
Do we have any idea of how reductions, because I know they're going to disproportionately affect the middle school and high school, how those are going to affect class size? Because I know we do have space at the high school. We have some classes that are 6 or 7 students.
There is some room, but remember, go back to what we talked about, when we talked to the principals about reductions, we gave them round numbers. We said, look, if you're looking at a teacher, use the number 60,000. So when you start using 60,000, and 60,000 is the bottom end, it's actually below the bottom end of our scale. There are other things that could also be added on top of that, like if the person's receiving benefits, that's also a savings for us. But we just said, use that 60,000 number to figure out your first 5%. And when you start to do that, you're looking at 10 people is 600,000, not close. 20 people is 1.2 million, still not there. So you start, and then some of the cuts are even smaller because you're looking at, say, support staff. Support staff don't even make that much. They're making in the 20 to 30 range, depending on when they were hired. So those are all kind of difficult numbers to work with. It becomes a fairly substantial number. But yeah, you have some room at the high school. It depends on what you want to offer for opportunities for kids, too. We want to look at everything and say, okay, can we kind of look at all of it, figure out where the holes are? I did the enrollment report 2 meetings ago on purpose so that people could see that You can see some of the places, and the principals and I have had those discussions. They're difficult to have, you know, when we get to these points.
Like, can you refresh my memory, like what we would need to cut to avoid an override? Because I remember thinking it was completely not feasible, but I don't remember what the number was.
They're telling us roughly,
Oh, each town said to avoid an override, that's the number, 1.4 and 1 million.
Those are just estimates, like they have, you know, they have to figure out.
they're still working on final revenue figures, and actually,
Okay.
Wenham's not doing their budget discussion, I think, till Saturday. So they're still in the kind of the beginning stages.
Okay.
This is just the conversations we've had with town administrator, town manager, and their business, their finance people, with Vinnie and I, to say, okay, where do you need to be? Give us a number. So this is what they were able to give us in the past week. A number could
Yes.
change.
And-
The
right,
revenues
and-
could change. I don't know what state aid looks like for the towns,
Right.
but ours does not change that much, I mean,
Okay.
as we've seen.
But it's a significant number, and
It's a significant
I
number.
personally don't think it's reasonable or feasible.
So, yeah, I didn't want to step on you. Are you-
Nope.
So, I agree. I don't think this amount of reduction is reasonable or feasible.
Reasonable.
If we can go back to the chart with the, I guess my feeling, the impact of cuts chart, that one. You know, my feeling is when I look at this, it's difficult because the percentages are very high in, you know, nearly all of these boxes. I guess when I'm looking at it and I'm thinking about the budget that we presented, I'm thinking about the fact that overall the district had a increase in enrollment of about 37 students overall, is that right?
I think it was 37.
So we had, you know, a small
was in the
increase.
30,
It's some-
34, 37, yeah.
Right. I guess I just, to me, that like, I think that if we're talking about being within that top box of, you know, trying to make reductions, which might have to include, you know, who knows what, but, you know, in that up to $1 million range, I guess I would encourage that I would expect that we can make some reductions from the in the initial budget that we saw. Like, I think that's reasonable to ask, that there's be some reduction from that budget. And it's, you know, I don't see, given, like, that we're going to end up at least, likely, at least one town is going to be asking for an override. And I guess I don't see a benefit to doing like crushing reductions and still having to go for an override, even if it's a smaller override. I think we prevented an override last year. We used that money, and I guess I'm saying, like, what my vision is that, like, I think that the budget that we got presented last time does need to be trimmed, but I don't think these big numbers, I think it's like you're in that, up to that top box, like the box before that box, basically. I mean, I don't know, that's, right?
If we trimmed $1 million, that's basically 666,000 from Hamilton and 333,000 from Wenham. So we're giving Wenham a third of what they want, and we're giving Hamilton almost half of what they want. That's not bad.
Well, and I guess I'm sort of saying, like, that, to me, $1 million out of that budget that we saw is a lot. It's, I'm not even really comfortable with saying that. I'm just saying, I think it does need to be trimmed.
Just so people are clear, back to what Vinnie said last meeting, there will still be some revenue adjustments. We just don't have final numbers, so that $1 million
Right.
might be easier to get at if we had $200,000 more coming from somewhere. We just don't finalize those numbers until we get into late December, January. So,
Where, in which budget packet, I was trying to find it, is the pie chart that kind of shows the budget kind of allocated by school? It kind of breaks it down by each, is that in
The detailed one.
the detail? Okay.
I don't know if it's a pie chart, though. I think it's numbers chart.
Just numbers? Okay.
You can certainly make one very quickly, though.
Oh, that's okay.
So just,
Yeah, I mean,
so I would say just to, I don't know, because I think, I know you want some direction. You asked for the 5%. Could we come back and like look at what 2% might look like? Because that's not quite a million, right? This is just a recommendation to like see what that looks like, I guess.
Right, I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of it.
Not that
is-
it's not going to be awful.
just under $1 million, I think 835,000, I think.
I want to.
Understanding that it's still going to dramatically affect everything on the, what does the 5% reduction include?
I wanted to just sort of touch on something that I felt really strongly about under the things to think about. Like the maintenance budget in this budget is significant. And the feedback that we've gotten for a long time, the feedback we've gotten from the public and from the towns, and certainly in the most recent vote on the consolidated school, the feedback that we've gotten is that it's our responsibility, that the expectation from the public is that we are going to maintain our schools.
Yep.
And I think that the maintenance budget has been historically a place that has sometimes maybe been sacrificed.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be just really wrong to take that out of the budget and put it into a capital expense, because it's just a one-time, it's not honoring what I'm hearing and what I think we've been hearing from a long time from the towns and like the government of the towns and from the people of the towns, that they want to provide maintenance for our schools, and this is what it costs, and it needs to be in the budget. So
Yes.
that's just
I
a thing
totally
that I'm
agree.
saying under things to think about. That's my opinion. I'm open to other people having a different opinion.
No, I
That's-
agree with you. I mean, I feel like this whole list are all these things that we've made strides on in the time I've been on the school committee. Like, it would hurt, I think, to let go of some of these things, like OPEB.
I can't really hear you, Amy.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just relaxing back in my chair. I was just saying, a lot of these things on this particular list are things that we've really made strides on in the time that I've been here. I would feel horrible about letting them go. Like, I know that something has to give somewhere.
Well, and the OPEB is an excellent example
Yeah.
to me of something that, like, it is so important to do something because
Yeah.
20 years from now, whoever's sitting here is going to be very grateful that we did that.
Well, we should do it, yeah. like-
It's and it's the same with the maintenance. The idea is to do it for the future so that you're setting yourself up for success. You're not setting yourself up for, trying to fix things on the fly with Scotch tape.
I have a,
Can I just,
yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to see if two newest members understand OPEB, what it is. Okay, I just had to ask, I wasn't sure.
Took
Just
me
wanna
a
make
couple
sure.
years.
I was going to say, because
Took me years.
Just making sure.
Julia and I needed to go many times to understand, so.
Yeah, I mean,
And D&D
that's
as
a
well.
number people don't understand. So in public, when you start to talk about OPEB, your select board people get it, your FinCom people get it. The average person is like, well, I'm not sure what that is. Those are all the retirees. How many retirees do we have? 50? 100? 200?
400?
Little over 200, right? 200.
I believe it's almost 250.
Yeah, 250 retirees that we're paying some sort of benefit for, which is generally health insurance. We don't offer a lot of outsider benefits, but that ends up $1 million.
Yeah.
That's $1.4 million. So those are big numbers. You're looking at, okay, OPEB, $1.4 million. If somebody had 25 years ago funded that for us, we'd be taking it from that fund, and that would save us $1 million in the budget. But like
Right.
Dana said, it's a gambit. You get to 2032, that number ends up at, in the plan, that number ends up at, I think, $700,000, and then you lock that in. That's hard. That's going to be hard for people to do in the future, but it's a necessary evil because that 1.4 number is not going to shrink. People are living longer, people are retiring earlier.
Well, it's hard in the future, but it would be even harder if we don't do it. It'll
Yeah.
be even
Yeah.
worse in
Yep.
the future. And I just,
Yeah, it's just hard for people to see that
Yeah.
far out when you're talking 20 years from now where we can be using the interests on those funds to be able to offset that million plus. It'll probably be 2 million in the next 7 or 8 years at the rate we're going.
In that vein, I was wondering about the contribution to the capital stabilization fund, and does that relate to also like the comments that Mr. Mattern has brought before the committee a couple times about a reserve? Is that something different than a stabilization fund, or is it the same?
No, the capital stabilization fund in a regional school district, capital stabilization fund is specifically designed to allow districts to hold money for use for capital projects, which our definition is above 25,000 in the regional agreement. So any capital projects, and it's there when you need it. You just have to, say you have, the fields are a good example. We put $1.7 million in there. We built the fields, we had to pay that bill, we took it out, and then we have to notify at the time, in the next annual report, we'll say, we used X number of dollars for this. So so the public knows, yes, they voted it to go in, and we took it out, and this is what we use it for. But it's good to have. If you had $10 million in there, you could get a lot done. It's just not enough in the big scheme of what we need to do.
Well, we use it to fund the initial project on the roof to get the,
Yep,
And a portion of the turf field.
yeah.
yep.
I have a question about, under what options do we have, the reconfigure the district? What does that mean?
So there's a lot to this. This is like trying to open a coconut with a pen. The district has 3 elementary schools. I'm going to use that elementary as an example. District has 3 elementary schools. We currently have in most of our grade levels 7 teachers. Average class size is 19. Some of those classes are smaller, some of those classes are a hair bigger. If you brought, and I'll use the Bucher pre-K, K here, and you put 1, 2 in Cutler, and 3, 4, 5 in Winthrop, as well as your specialized program, you'd be able to pull 1 staff member from each grade level. Is it ideal? No. Does it raise class sizes? Absolutely, to like 23 or 4, depending on how things shake out. But it's easier to balance when you have everybody in the same building. So all the second graders are in the same building, the second grade teachers are in the same building, so you can balance the numbers across those rooms much more easily than if they're in 3 different buildings. You look at kindergarten's a good example. Each year, kindergarten has shifted. So kindergarten, there were 3 kindergarten classes in Winthrop last year. Now there's 3 over in Cutler. That will go back to Winthrop next year, and those numbers tend to move around depending on where kids are located. So that's one piece of the puzzle. You could look at combining, different grades, like moving up 5th grade, moving 8th grade to the high school. There's different things, sharing the exact same schedule at the middle and high school and looking at efficiencies with staffing. But again, those moves will change class sizes, no doubt about it. Our class sizes are, in my opinion, really good comparatively. So when you look at it from a comparison around other districts, we're in really good shape with our class sizes. There are a lot of class sizes that are small at the high school. Some of them because they're specialized classes, like AP US History is always a great example. You always have kids that want to take it. Some years you have 10, some years you have 18. Do you not run it when there's 10? We try to give kids the opportunity to run those things, so it's more of a, what types of things are you willing to give up? Because staff cuts you're gonna lose something if you start cutting staff.
I have a question about like planning lead times, like if we did that kind of reconfiguration, or if we were gonna cut $1 or $2 million from the budget or something, what kind of internal planning lead time does the district need to actually think through all those changes and implement them?
It would be April till the start of school year and probably beyond.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be, once we knew which direction we were going in, it would be a horse race. Things got to be moved around, people have to be relocated. There's a lot involved in that, which is why I kind of put it at the bottom and said, this is, because every building has their own culture. The staffs work together, in a lot of cases, our staff's been together for a long time. Cutler's probably got the youngest group of, they've had this kind of sequential group of new people coming in each year, but they still have their own cultures, and to break that up is difficult sometimes, because you got, like certain grades are humming in certain schools, like they work together well and they can do things more efficiently, but it's hard to do. It's hard on parents, because if your kid, walks to Bucher, but suddenly Bucher doesn't have third grade, your kid's on a bus, those are problems too. It's uncomfortable in a lot of ways, not just staffing. It's just.
So, yeah, I guess I want to say, I'm glad you put this on here, because I like that you and the leadership team are thinking outside the box and being creative and being open to new ideas. And obviously, we were open, the school committee was open to some, reconfiguration. Obviously, we were looking at the consolidated school. I think, I guess I would just, for me, I kind of want both. I want that people, the leadership team and everyone, to continue to think about those things. And to me, those are things that would need to be done cautiously and not like between now and September.
Agreed.
Like in other words, like I would want to hear all about, like I have thoughts about some of those things I think sound good and some I think don't sound good at all, but I'd want to hear about maybe there is an opportunity there, but I don't think it's something that I wouldn't want it done that quickly. Like I would want it done more.
It would be a drastic, in my opinion, it'd be a drastic measure. It takes time, to reorganize. If we passed the new elementary school and went in that direction, it would take us the next 2 years just to get everybody in the mode to work, kind of come together as one. It would take a long time, and that was part of our planning process when we were originally trying to figure that whole thing out. So even something like this is not an overnight. Transportation alone would, if you've been part of our transfer bus system, we were talking about it the other day, like what would that look like now if we're transferring kids all over the district? So it's you unfortunately can't just go pick up one group of kids all around town. So there are complexities in there that could end up costing us more money. And that's something to take some time to look at.
Well, if I'm looking at the one options, do we have one? So it's like, we don't want to kick the can, and it sounds like we don't want to reconfigure. Too disruptive, too many moving parts.
I wouldn't mind looking at reconfiguring for a
For
future
the
year.
future, yeah.
But not
for
this year.
Not for next fall, basically. So I think for the budget under consideration then, we're back to a combination of override and some reductions. And it seems like 3 million is too high for a cut, right? So we can't cut 3. So, because one of the reasons I was looking for the sheet that does the budgets by building, for this year, FY '26, Bucher's whole operating budget is 3.4, Cutler's 3.5, Winthrop is 4.8. So cutting $3 million is de facto cutting the school almost.
Yep.
And we've heard from the community very loudly that they do not want consolidation at the elementary school level. So if we were trying to do it intentionally
with years of planning and design and everything, and it was rejected. I don't think that it would be wise to sort of do it de facto into 2 buildings that still would bring with it maintenance challenges, capital issues, and no funding to really materially address them, other than the fact that maybe whatever nominal amount would be added to the one building could be reallocated to the other 2 or something. But that still doesn't, to me, seem like a large amount of money to address the deferred maintenance issues, really. So to me, I think we could eliminate the first bullet, eliminate the last bullet. 3 million's too high, so I feel like we're narrowing the path of.
I think that was an excellent summary. I have to just say that was fabulous. That's because I was sitting here thinking like, okay, I need to kind of summarize, and I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, does that feel accurate?
Yes.
What Kristen just said? Does that? I will say that for me, the only part I would say, and maybe we should sort of get other people's sense of where, because for me, that was very accurate that you summarized the group. I will say, me personally, 3 million is way too high. Like, I'm not sure that we can really get to 1 million. I'm hedging because I don't, I trust these guys to look at it. I'm saying that I really do want some reductions, but I'm looking at even that. That's why I was kind of in that top box, like even there feels like a lot. So, and we might, I know you're looking for consensus or kind of guidance, so like I don't know whether other people feel like they're, I just wanted to sort of express that like that was accurate, I think, of the group, but for me, I'm not just saying 3 million is too high.
Oh, yeah, neither am I. I mean, I'm just trying to kind of like.
Yeah, that was very
narrow
helpful.
the conversation a little, like just
Right.
to kind of get to just because I feel as though, or I think that it seems to me like the time just moves so quickly for the budget season, and that there are so many interconnected parts here with the towns and with us, and that's why I asked the planning question, like if we were to cut something, what does that look like operationally for staff to like make that happen? Because I think, and I'm not really in favor of any cuts really, but I think if that's happening, I think the sooner we sort of make that decision, the better for Eric and his team and the teachers and ultimately the students, to have the maximum amount of lead time to make these things happen. That's where I was going with that.
The million number for me does one thing that I think is important, is that it takes those double-digit increases that we're seeing in Wenham and gets them under a double digit. Now, it shouldn't matter, right?
No, but it is, I do think it's a psychological.
But it is psychological, like 9.1 is a whole different number than 11 something.
Yeah.
I agree, but just so you understand, from what we've been told, that million would still mean an override
in both towns. No, I get it. Because I asked Eric to find this out, I do want to just be clear about when was the last time we actually had an override?
2000, there was like 7 in a row.
Yes, there was, but it was been a long.
10 was the last one, I believe.
2010?
2009.
I think it was 2008.
2009. It was 2000.
I guess I just wanted to,
9, 10.
I guess the
Anyway.
reason I wanted to say that is because I was here, I lived here, it was difficult, I had young kids, it was very difficult going to override after override, year after year, it was very difficult. At the same time, I want to sort of think about, that's a very long time ago. So I think maybe some people, maybe like me, who were around and did that, it feels like, oh, we've done this before.
Yeah.
But I just want to sort of say, it's true, it has happened before, and that was, 16 years ago.
Well, I think at that time, and I don't really know, which is why I'm asking, but I think one of the bigger problems with that time was that there were so many in a row.
In the row, yes,
And
it
it
was
seemed
here-
like, what's going on?
Right.
And there's so
Right.
many in a row, but I also wonder, like, rolling this budget forward, I think seems to me like looking at the teacher contract and all these other things where that is a possibility. You know, particularly if we're increasing maintenance and we're increasing teachers' costs,
Well, what's a possibility?
like
Having
successive years of overrides again.
Well, particularly because we're using E&D in this budget.
Right.
Well, okay, but,
Is it, I'm just
but,
asking.
but we are using yes, you mean the 830 that's in the budget, which we've been carrying, it used to be 770.
Yeah.
We've been carrying it along. So, but this budget increase, you know, gets rid of most of the 2 million that we put in the one that we did the one time.
1.3 million of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, is it better to have one big override and be sort of good
Because
for a while? Or have like a couple years of overrides, but maybe communicate that as part of the plan? Like,
well, I guess maybe that's a good question, because I don't see that as the plan. I don't see that. I mean, I don't see that as the plan being that we would try to go for an override this year and then again next year. But I think.
well, I don't either. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, as a hypothetical question, is it better to?
If you, let me try to explain, if you did a model and said, okay,
Right.
we're gonna hold at 3.8, we're gonna go for 2 overrides. If they're successful, then the following year, you're dealing with a lot lower level of increase. You know, I mean, this year, we have just a big bump of salaries, that's $1.5 million, $1.4 million, I think, of salaries that has kind of thrown this out of whack a little bit. But if you do that, you're starting from whatever percentage, I'm just going to use a number because I don't remember the exact one, about 3% increase for everybody. We roll it over. We generally roll our budget at 4.5%, so we're probably looking at 5 or 6% versus this 10.5%.
Right.
Which is generally normal for us because we usually start at 5 or 6% and work our way down to 3.8, 3.9 to 4. So it's a reality. I just think it's a straight up override. Just say, all right, we're just going to push this budget forward, I think would be problematic, and then we have to be ready on the other side if it fails
Right.
to cut down below those numbers, which is roughly what they're giving us. So now we're in a position in May to cut, I'm just going to use the $3 million, to cut the $3 million and have another special town meeting to
do it.
approve it.
Well, so I did some research on some other overrides in other communities nearby who have gone through similar challenges, just because I wanted to get some understanding, right? Again, I think everybody knows I did not grow up in Massachusetts, so this is all new to me. We had just a different style of government there in New York. And so I just wanted to help myself understand kind of the override piece. And you're right, we haven't had one here in a very long time in Hamilton or Wenham. And it was a series of multiple years of successive overrides that I think became challenging for the community. I think what I'm worried about is, what recently happened in Melrose, where in 2023, voters rejected an override, and then they had to make stark cuts at the school. Several, a lot of positions were cut. And then the community formed a group to rally around it, and they actually went back this past year and passed an even larger override because they didn't like the cuts that they made. And so I feel like that's perhaps a lesson for us, because, what we're talking about here, just using the math that you've shared, right, if we're talking about a $3 million number, that's a significant number of positions and roles that would be lost. A similar thing happened in Georgetown in 2023 as well, and they went through this past year and again approved an override. So it's just, And then in Marblehead, they've had similar challenges, and I think they're on the cusp of going back and passing a larger override than they originally vetoed. And so I'm personally struggling, right, with not going forward with an override, right? To me, I moved to this town, and a lot of my friends moved to this town because of the school district, right? And that is a testament to the staff, the teachers, the education that we provide our students. And if we're talking about making some of these large cuts, increasing class sizes, which we've heard from the community is not what we want, right? I just struggle very much with how do we do this? How do we bring this budget down in a way that doesn't result in a drastic impact to the quality of education we provide our students? On the other hand, as a taxpayer, I also struggle a little bit with, right, signing up for an increase in taxes, and this is not even considering whatever else might be on the table. And I think, Vinny, you talked about it. I don't recall if it was our last meeting or the one prior, but I mean, you kind of made the comment, and Eric, you talked about it as well with the funding that we're getting from the state. It seems like there are some severe structural challenges with how our budgets are allocated and built and funded. And that seems like a hard pill to swallow, to pass that on to taxpayers. But I struggle so much with how would we, what would the ultimate impact be to the education that we provide our learners?
When you say structured, you mean the money that we're getting from the state?
Yes, and just how little it is.
And I mean, I think that was well said, and I guess where I'm coming down at this point, and I'm not sure if that's where you're kind of landing, but like, I sort of feel like, yes, we want to be as lean as possible while still honoring that we want to provide our students with what they need. And like, we need to bring it to the people and ask them if they're willing to do that. I understand it's a risk, like that maybe their answer is no, and that like, but I can't see not bringing to the voters what we really believe is necessary. I just can't see doing that, even though I understand it's, it's a lot and it's difficult. It's, to your point, it's what a lot of other communities have dealt with. It's what this community has been through before in the past. So, I don't know. Other people?
I'd say one more thing.
Yeah.
Kind of building on your point, I think what happens when you make cuts, like if you look at the 5% reduction, and what I really think the public needs to understand is that if we are a community that is dedicated to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, if you're looking at the reductions here, it's athletic user fees will increase, it's late buses cut, graduation expenses will increase, transportation reductions, stipends will be cut, late bus, all of this affects the most disadvantaged students. And I just think that, I say it all the time, and I'll say it every time. The budget is a reflection of our values. And I completely agree with you, Dana, that we all individually need a budget that we can be proud of and really excited to present and really can stand up for. And I think the budget is that, but I also agree that there do need to be some reductions. But I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't think we can hit the $1 million reduction mark. But I'm willing to reach a consensus if everyone else is on that page. But I just think that would be a bridge too far, and it would affect disadvantaged students too much, and all students too much.
I just think if we don't at least have something to show the town that we made the effort to cut, because, right, everybody deals with their own household budget, and if prices go up, you have one or two choices. You either make more money or you cut. And prices are going up. You know, we can't just say, well, we're going to raise the fees on you, but we didn't do anything to try and reduce, you know, the pain that we're about to put you through. And Wenham's 30% people over the age of 60. They've got no incentive to vote for a double-digit budget increase. None. And we have to get it to pass with a two-thirds majority.
Property values, because of the schools, right?
I don't think it'll be enough. I mean, was talking to friends about it like for the last 2 weeks, and even people who have kids in the school system and the high school are hesitant to vote for a double-digit increase in Wenham.
Oh, I agree, but then the problem is they want, you know, we all want to live in a community where we pay our teachers fairly, where we have maintenance on all the schools, where everything is safe and we have transportation and we provide all these services. And I think it is, like you said, like you really have to make hard choices. Like, are we willing to pay for that or not? That's in my mind.
Well,
and we just have to make hard choices, and they might make a different decision than I would make.
right, no, we don't, I think it's important to listen and talk, but we don't actually know. In other words, like, there are incentives for people who don't have kids in the schools to want to have excellent schools. And it's not just property taxes. There are people that just want to live in a community that has excellent schools because they believe in the importance of educating the next generation. I mean, there really are things like that. And there are a million reasons why people might vote no. So we can't know all of the reasons. And it's really important to think about. I guess I'm not sure. I think that the biggest obstacle is going, in terms of voting, is having an override at all is the biggest obstacle. Like, the amount of the override, of course, is important, but the biggest obstacle is like that you have to actually vote for an override. And I do think Jen is right about the psychological difference, but I do think that is true. I don't know if we can get there under the double digit. I'm not sure about that, but I think
I'd like to be able to argue that we tried.
I do think part of the reasoning behind the budget numbers this year is the use of the E&D last year, which, as a new committee member trying to kind of wrap my head around all these languages, you know, all these terms and the rules and everything, you know, that's just, I don't think, a concept that is readily understood.
No,
you know, it doesn't
definitely
exist
not.
like
No,
in your sort of
it's super hard to understand.
Small business
Yes.
or in your household or whatever. And so I think, I mean, I remember around the town meeting times last year, there were some folks saying like, oh, well, you know, there's not an override because of the school, but there will be, you know, there was kind of conversation, you know, about it. So I do think that maybe it's helpful to say there could have been an override last year.
Right.
Intentionally, there was not, so we could focus on the consolidation. That didn't happen, so we not only have kind of the deferred override from last year, but the increases that are inherent in this year's budget, just through the normal cost of living, like teacher contract, what have you. And I think this is all really hard to explain, and I think it's hard to get everybody's attention to explain all this detail. So I do wonder, in the current fiscal year, do we have additional resources to help support communications in some way? To be
Around communicating around the budget?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no matter where it
no matter
goes.
what, exactly, no matter what it is, because I do think that's a challenge. You know, I think the addition of the paper is super helpful and all this and that, but there's, and I don't think everybody's on social media either. I mean, I do think that is undoubtedly a feature of everyday life now, but I do think that the sort of community Facebook groups miss a lot of people. you know, who aren't in there. So I think it's really tricky to get all of this information out with enough detail that people can make an informed choice without it sort of being overwhelming or confusing, you know, like, I think this is really tricky. You know, I think understanding all this.
Yeah, and how to message it. I mean, because I guess, like, I would sort of say, like, we did what we did last year to prevent an override. And like that,
I mean, it's done.
didn't know, you never could know, like, we didn't 100% know all of the moving parts of what this budget would look like. And,
Right.
you know, one of the town officials actually said, well, when we were doing that last year, which was very public, and that actually said, well, you know, you should do what you can every year to try to prevent an override. Like, in other words, it should always be a discussion about what, I mean, we just talked about kicking the can down the road. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it isn't always the right choice, but it is something you should always be discussing, and so that's what happened last year. And so, like, to try to explain that it's, like,
It's a deferred.
it's a deferred thing, like, in other words, you could have had a budget override last year, and then you could have had one.
Well, I think
this
it's
year,
like
like-
we sort of used quote unquote savings almost last year to balance the budget. I mean, I know it's not really savings, but
Right.
you know what I mean, to kind of try to put it in more like everyday
It's,
language.
what's hard about it is that,
Yeah,
like,
money
right,
that
you,
we didn't
but,
spend,
yeah,
that
you
we had
did,
budgeted.
but it's just that, like, now it's in the budget, and so, like, next year, like, it's
These are recurring costs.
the recurring costs, so it's just a difficult, yeah.
The one-time use of excess and deficiency is maybe good for 1 year, but reflects badly in the next year. If you don't, say you didn't have any excess and deficiency for FY '27, and you didn't even have that 800, that's another 800 on top of that 3.8. So it's like, it's as bad as jacking your credit card up and paying the minimum. It's hard to get out from underneath, and I think Vinnie and I have tried to strategize, how do we, from this point, get off the E&D train and then try to lower even that annual number that we've been moving in to make it something more reasonable.
Over 3 years or
It's
5
never-
years or
I
something.
don't know if it's ever actually zero, but there's different uses. You can offset it
But
with
presumably,
expenses.
presumably it was zero before 2020,
It's been zero before.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
has been.
yeah.
It has been, yeah. It's just,
so. All right, do we, I don't know, I don't know whether you feel like you
direction.
have, or do you have questions, or do you feel like you have guidance, or what's your question? Like, how can we be,
I'll go back to this slide. So we've taken the first one out, the last one out,
I mean,
kind of the second one, is anybody really willing to say, let's go forward with it all?
The
Override, no matter what, both communities?
well.
Don't change the budget at all?
Don't change it from what you
Yeah,
currently
what
presented?
we're presenting.
I mean, part of me does wonder, as just a philosophical question, like to Julia's point about values and things like that, to just, you know, in the interest of like full transparency, this is what it takes to run the district to the level that everyone expects. To do something with the buildings, to pay the teachers, to, you know, and even looking at this, and I understand that the towns have, you know, requests and things, but I think the year-over-year facilities money is way too low, honestly. And I wonder too about, you know, all the other functions of the district. Like, do we have enough support in central office for all of the things we're trying to do right now? Do we have enough support in all the other buildings? Like, I just, you know, if anything, it seems to me like for what we're trying to achieve, like, it's honestly amazing what we do achieve with what we have, which I know is still like tens of millions of dollars. I'm not trying to say that I don't think it's a lot of money, because I know it's a huge amount of money, but it just, when you look at how it's allocated across all the buildings, all the facilities, all the staff, I mean, I think it's really amazing that what we do get done, and that the people that are in front of our children every day are doing a really amazing job, you know? And so there is definitely a part of me that believes, like, you should do the budget that you need to do. And I'm saying this from like a nonprofit's background where there's always horse trading and negotiations and adjustments, but to say like, we have these goals that we have been charged with, and this is what it costs to achieve those goals. I mean, I think there's an argument to be made there. I understand people are saying that number will not be palatable because it requires overrides, but I don't know. It's such a difficult decision because pushing for that, and if it fails, then that's what I sort of worry about. So I'm sort of like, am I undercutting my own argument because I'm concerned about what happens in May? We don't want to start the fiscal year without a budget, all these sort of downstream effects of a failed override. And that's why I asked the question about the communications, like to try to support really getting the message out in terms of this is why this is happening, this is what this is paying for. You want separate schools, you want better maintenance, this is the cost of that.
We don't really have a communications budget.
I know, that's why I asked, just.
But, I mean, we do, you can speak a little bit, we do always do a little, when we do a budget, you can speak a little bit about what we do, annual budget, like.
Like a one-page flyer, front and back, to help explain,
Right.
what certain things are, but I think you're talking about something more detailed and more conversational, and it's hard, because I think we all want that.
Right.
And I think the community wants it too, but it's sort of like, we're talking about trying to save money and spending money to get more money. Like, it's just kind of this, I know you know.
I know.
So it's just kind of
No,
like
I know. I mean, well, and I also think like this is when the budget conversations happens. It's in all the many committee meetings that happen here and in the municipalities. And it would be wonderful if there were more people here and if there were more people engaged, because it's hard, I think, when it comes to town meeting. And, I think through comments made at town meeting or people who have the ideas of making motions from the floor or whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to effectuate the change then that needs to be part of the conversation now.
Oh, yeah.
And so if I can just summarize a little bit about, what I'm hearing, I actually think, I'm hearing we're in this range. I actually think I'm sort of closer to you, although I'm sort of saying I still do think I don't want the budget to come back exactly the way it is. I think it needs to get
And it will naturally.
and it will, and that's my I guess that's what I'm saying, is that's my expectation, is that that's normally what happens anyway, is that it gets paired thoughtfully between now and the time we see it again. But I agree with Kristen and with what Julia said about, like, this is our values, we're not gonna compromise, and like, you could end up having to compromise your values for what you value in education, either by cutting it down so much so that you can get the budget passed, or by it failing. Both of those things are gonna result, and it seems wrong to not try. And I sort of wanted to highlight some of the things Julia said. I felt the same way about like things like user fee increases and the late bus and things like that are things that are, not going to solve the bigger picture budget-wise, and disproportionately hurting the kids who probably need it the most. Like,
Right.
In other words, when my kids were in high school, we had 100% user fees. We paid 100%. For my family, that was doable. I had two kids, they did three sports 3 seasons. That was doable. But it was 100%. A lot of families, that was,
A deal breaker.
yeah, so that's heartbreaking. That meant that my kids got to do something, and again, that's not going to solve the budget problem, but it's, to your point, it's those things that get taken away that,
But we'll still have our scholarship program.
and I'm sure that was there then, and that was, I just use that as an example of those things that get cut tend to be most impactful to those that might need it the most, that it might be the most important. All right, I'm gonna stop talking. So I think we're really, like, I think, Eric and Vinny, what are you hearing? Are you still waiting for us to sort of say how much we want to see reduced between now and the time we see the tentative budget? Or do you have an idea of what we're?
I think we can do it in 2 steps. Like, we can say, all right, we'll bring back, I'm just going to hit a number, $1 million, see what that looks like in real life, because I have to let people know, like, hey, your job's going to be mentioned next Thursday night as being reduced. So that's a direction. We can say, all right, we want to hit a certain number, and then whatever is left is an override. I think if you don't get down to that 2 million, you're going to be in an override, not you, but we will be in an override in both communities. So,
So we're in agreement or consensus, there's going to have to be some override, right? It's just the amount. Like, we can't cut $3 million.
No.
Well, right.
yeah, and if you cut 1.4 from the, just say Hamilton side, and made that one non-override, you're still in a difficult position in Wenham. Like I said, I don't know their exact number. They have their meeting Saturday morning, so.
Well, and to get to 1.4 in I mean, you can't.
2.1.
It's
I hate the
right,
word
two,
override.
you know,
Yeah.
So
Yep.
It's not a good word.
it's not doable.
I don't like it.
And we don't know, I mean, in other words, the towns are still in an estimation
Correct.
stage too.
Correct.
It's possible that one or both of the towns could revise their numbers and we don't know.
Yeah,
Like
I mean-
and they don't know because it's just hard.
Hamilton's been in their select board meetings talking about the possible $500,000
Right.
they could get from Gordon Conwell
Right.
if all,
Right.
you know.
Right,
but
that
it's
could happen,
it's
but
it
that's-
could happen, it's just not on the table completely.
Right,
so.
and they can't really be making decisions based on that because they don't know. Like, that's,
Right.
okay.
Do we have, when is our next quintuple board meeting? I know we have a schedule, but the
Quintuple.
next quintuple board meeting?
Week of Martin Luther King, so that Wednesday.
Okay. So it's it's not this month then? It's-
No.
It's,
No, January.
okay.
Yeah, we usually have the first one early and the second one in January, just before we get to the final budget.
Okay.
So everybody can kind of put their cards on the table fully.
Yep. That's what I was kind of wondering, like when we have all the pieces, because I think for me, that's one of the things that I'm having a hard time kind of understanding is sort of like the overall goal here from sort of like 25,000 feet, like I know that keeping taxes as low as possible and running efficiently and things are always priorities, but I'm also trying to understand, like, what are we trying to achieve, in terms of the municipalities and the district kind of working together in terms of like services and funding retirements and salaries and benefits and capital, like kind of, I feel as though it seems like it's a year-over-year kind of battle to balance the budget and not necessarily a year-over-year strategy in pursuit of a goal, like collectively, anyway. And that's sort of, I think, why sometimes this is hard, and there's so many moving pieces here, and it's ultimately accountable to the voters, so.
And the high level of residential expectation there is problematic. I mean, you have small towns and your tax base is just about all residential. That becomes problematic because, as one of my fellow superintendents said, the value of your house doesn't pay your taxes.
Right.
Even though you're living in a house that might be valued $1 million, you may only be making $100,000 a year.
Right.
So that's one of the issues we're talking to the state about when they use equalized valuation of housing as part of the formula to figure out, so these perceived to be wealthy communities have those pieces that never get factored into the puzzle. And that's where some of our senior citizens are trapped in a house that they've had for 40 or 50 years, and I don't want to say trapped, they're just in a house they've had for 40 or 50 years, and it's probably gone up dramatically over that time, and they're probably on fixed incomes, most of them, if they've retired and left the workforce. So those are things that don't get accounted in any state aid figures, making it more complex. I had a conversation with a FinCom member today, and he is digging into this deeper than I've ever seen it. He's trying to compare like schools to say, okay, how can this school educate kids for $18,400 when it costs us $21,000, which is an interesting conversation, but there's so many differences in each community. Some school districts don't pay their insurance, it's paid by the town. Some communities have required transportation, like regionals. Other communities could cut transportation. I was in Salem 30 years ago, and I remember they cut all afternoon buses as a budget savings thing, so we couldn't do that. So those are the difficult pieces of what's included, what's not included. So things that seem similar may often not be. Some of the comparatives are just not, it's not linear, it's not perfectly linear.
Again, this is more of a long-term thing. This is not this year's budget. But it might be worthwhile to look at what we would have to do to pull back that $4.8 million in out-of-district tuition. Like, what would that actually require? Because
It costs
heck, if
money.
we could eliminate that, we don't have a budget problem anymore.
Yeah, we couldn't do it all, only because
But,
some of our placements are medically fragile, permanent placements, like 24/7.
Yeah.
And it costs money to, like,
To bring that
we might be
in-house.
able, in theory, to educate those students for less money, but they're still going to be
It's
expensive
definitely
to
gonna
educate
cost
those
money, but
students.
Will it pay for itself? That's the, I mean,
That was the
to me,
reason we
that's
pulled-
my question.
Maybe.
That was the reason we pulled language-based program back into the district and built that up. The problem is, you can still have people with the capacity to fight that and put their kid in a program like Landmark anyway, even though we have the same exact, we're literally using the same program. We've been trained by their people. It's just people have the willingness to fight. How much money do we want to spend in court defending whether our program's better than another private program? So those are some of the things. We're tied up in, I think, 3 cases now that are not cheap, and they've continued over more, in some cases, more than a year. Just because parents believe, like, okay, my kid's not getting service, I want that service. So it's hard to get all of it down.
Yeah.
Could you
No,
look at different scenarios? Yeah, it would be against startup costs. It would cost money, it'd be a bump to get a program started and running to be able to continue that through. So you don't actually avoid costs in that initial year, you actually take this hit a little bit and then it levels out. We looked at it for.
Not something to think about for this year.
No, right, but it's a good conversation piece. I think it's important when you start to think, I hope everybody remembers, maybe the newest people don't, we went with a contracted out-of-district placement transportation service. One company, we did it with 11 different school districts to try and reduce the cost of transportation. When it first started up, we were like, it's not gonna save us any money, it's not gonna save us any money. But now the company that's running this now is starting to say, okay, I can pair this kid on one route now, and that saves money for these 2 schools or these 3 schools. So we're starting to work that through. In fact, I have a meeting tomorrow afternoon about that. Some of the efficiencies may help us, but it's not a lot of money. It's a couple $100,000. It's not, when you're looking at $40 million, $200,000 is not impacting the budget, but it's a piece of the puzzle when you're saying, okay, can we save money? Can we save utility costs by, if we had that solar canopy in a year, 2 years ago, would we be saving this dramatic sum of money? Possibly, but that would be designed to save money over years rather than in 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm feeling like we're ready to move on. Yes? You guys, yes? No? Yes? Do you want more? Well, so tell me what you need to know.
I feel like you're leaning into, you as a group, consensus-wise, leaning into, let's see some reductions with the probability of an override in at least one town.
Like maybe
I don't think
like
we're
bullet 4,
looking for an
maybe.
override, but that's just the
Yeah,
reality.
that could be another bullet. You could,
Yeah, I mean, you've got override and some reductions on there.
Yeah.
Like sort of a mixed bag of.
yeah.
Is your feeling, though, an override in just one community?
Or both.
Because much different numbers.
so hard. It feels.
I mean, while we don't know, while we don't know for sure what exact number causes an override, I mean, we only know,
My guess, it would be slightly less than what they're asking, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so
right,
when
they're-
I'm saying drop $1 million, it may be
right.
900, maybe 800, I'm not sure, but, again, I don't know their exact numbers yet.
I guess, I mean, maybe other people feel differently. I guess I'm not, I understand your question is like, are you understanding that like, if, you know, if you could reduce it enough to only have an override in one town? Yes, I'm more in the, like, let's pare this down as, you know, where we're still within, like, this is what you believe we actually need, get it as tight, and then see where that lands us, and it seems like
Yeah, because we
that
can
might
have a
land,
conversation
that
next
might
meeting.
still land us in 2 overrides, it might.
We can pare it down, bring it back. We still have that one meeting to have a tentative budget ready for that first meeting in October. It's at the 4th, January.
It's the 8th, because the 1st is a Thursday.
Yes, okay, so January 8th, we'd be looking at a tentative budget that, those that have been here know that floats down a tiny bit between tentative and final, but the biggest reductions we'll make are in the next 2 meetings. Actually, the next 1 meeting. Yeah, it's 1 meeting.
But, I mean, yeah, okay. Other people?
I mean, are you looking for a number to cut or a percent or just, we're just gonna do sort of a hypothetical if we,
So my goal is not to cause unnecessary alarm with my staff,
right?
Yeah.
That's why, yeah.
because if you said, all right, show us what 2 million looks like, there's a lot of people that are very nervous about, even though we could say to them, this is just a modeling scenario, I would still be nervous. I mean, in my first 7 years, I was pink slipped, just because that's the way the budgets were run back then, but,
But 2 million
Yeah.
is basically, I mean, in other words, to start thinking about not having an override in one town, that's where, right? I mean,
Somewhere around there.
right, and I guess that's what I'm saying, is that like, I just think that's too much. I understand that that might mean that there's I mean, we don't know, there's so many, but I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. Just seems like
It seems like we're not there yet to say we would only want there to be an override in one community. It seems as though we're still thinking about what it looks like if there's an override in 2 communities of some amount, with some amount of adjustment in the expense side.
and we're still guessing on those numbers.
Right,
So
and I
that's
know
what
you
makes
said
this
there could still be
conversation
more
even more.
revenue. You know,
Yeah,
there-
right, and I mean, in other words, that could happen, like Hamilton could have revenue and they could say, we're good. You know, and we don't know, like, that's not really our,
Can't decide that.
we can't decide that, exactly.
yeah, I mean, and history has shown that when you go to town meeting, the override is specific to the school district,
Right.
not the towns. I mean, the towns will say, we've balanced our budget, we've come in, school district needs an override. So that's, the focus shifts completely to the school district.
Right, and that's one of the, I mean, that's the difference between being in, like, if you were in a regional versus a municipality.
yeah.
If you were just in, you know, then it would just be, the budget needs an override instead.
They just give you
It's
a
like-
number, and when you're in, let's use Beverly as an example, Chapter 70 goes through the city, and the city will say to the schools, all right, you're gonna get 4%, figure it out. Whereas it's the other way around here, where we can say, this is what we need.
Right.
And then,
I wish I had an amazing idea. I wish I had a big idea.
I mean, you're looking at,
I don't, no, go ahead.
so the 1.99 million that I showed you on that 5% slide,
I guess maybe I'm reading, I don't think anyone here is saying we want to
No.
see that.
No.
I think
okay,
that's,
that puts me in a better place.
I don't
Yeah.
think
No.
that that's what people are saying.
No.
That's, I guess what I heard is I heard some people saying, like, $1 million feels like too much, but we want to see something cut. And I heard maybe some people saying,
$1 million.
I'd like to see $1 million, what $1 million
Okay.
looks like. But I'm not hearing anybody say, I want to see what 5% looks like.
No.
Absolutely not.
I mean, we kind of have an idea, I think.
Right,
You know,
right.
There.
Yeah, there's just,
I know they're high-level numbers, but.
yeah, I just don't want to,
And then,
Necessarily
and then
upset
like,
people.
in other words, like, that's what I was trying to say about this top box, which you've got it sort of as $1 million, but I'm saying it's kind of up to $1 million.
Right.
And like, it doesn't, I get it, it doesn't, like, it might be that both towns then say, well, if that's really what you're asking for, we have to be in an override, and like,
all right, so we'll bring back a budget about $1 million less than what we're looking at.
But see, I don't want that,
See,
but if everyone wants that.
I don't either, I'm sort of feeling like,
But I think we're all feeling individually differently.
yeah.
So it's
like,
hard to
I
give
think
you
that
direction,
There's some
Eric.
range of,
but if
don't
we-
cut it at all.
If everyone
Up
else
to,
feels that
I'm
way,
willing to
honestly,
cut it to $1 million.
obviously I will support the committee, but
Right.
I personally don't want that,
Do you
but
want to see nothing?
I don't know.
Right, because I'm saying I think there's definitely something that could be pared down.
Well, Kristen said
I just
kinda
don't.
move
Yeah,
it
this,
a little
oh, yeah, I mean, we go through this exercise every year. We come in with a number of, here's everything we need, here's everything we want. We know we don't get it, we know there's still some revenue offsets, so there are some things that just change over the next, like, once we find out all the retirees, that puts us a little more money back in the bank for us, so, but they don't have to notify us till December 1, so we get to that point, like, this week, nail that number down, and here's what it's at, here's our possible savings, so.
The thing is, I think for the public and for all of us, it would be helpful to look at that 1 million, but I also agree with you. I don't want to terrify people ever, but right before the holidays.
Great.
So but then I don't really have a solution, so I just know what I don't want. I can't
Right,
tell you what I
yes.
do want.
Well, I mean, I think the
It's not
problem is
helpful.
we're trying to fix a top-line problem on the expense side.
Right.
and
Right.
It just
Yeah,
never
exactly.
works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just, you
But
can't.
it's where we are. so,
Exactly, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And the revenues have been increasing at a fairly reasonable clip, approximately 5%. It's just all the shifting around, E&D out and E&D in, that starts to make it messy.
Thank you for your work on this, all your work on this.
Yeah.
All right,
This
we'll
is
make-
really helpful, actually.
We'll make some
I find this handout
realistic
helpful.
trims that we would through the process. We'll look for other efficiencies. There are some efficiencies that we know that we can make that we've planned for, because some of our programs are maturing, kind of growing from 3-4 years ago. When we started them, we needed more staff, so we're starting, so we can make some efficiencies, but I just want to make sure that people are clear. Whatever I put out there, I'm going to notify people ahead of time. I just don't think it's fair to say, hey, I saw your name on the school committee last night. It wouldn't be names, it would just be pretty easy to, we're small, it's easy to figure out what's what, so, does that make sense?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate the conversation.
Okay, that was a difficult conversation. Moving on to committee reports, capital finance,
We have a meeting next week.
This week, yeah.
okay?
Is it at noon or 11?
The 8th, Monday.
Is it 8?
Oh,
No, it's
wait, at what
on
time?
the 8th.
Oh, it's on the 8th, yeah, yeah. It's on
Julie
the
wants to
8th.
know what time.
I wrote down 11, but then the calendar invite said noon.
I have noon.
Okay, good. That's fine.
12 o'clock, yep.
Policy?
We actually did not meet on the 1st because we had nothing to talk about. So I will.
That's a good problem to
It's a
have.
good problem to have. So we will meet in January. I need to send out an email about when, but it sounds like Mondays.
That's fine,
Work
yeah.
and for you too, Jen, even earlier in the day we could do if that works for you too. So check your inbox.
Negotiations, we are tentatively meeting on the 11th. And we're going to begin our negotiations with the ESP union on the 11th.
That won't take effect, though, into fiscal year
27.
27, this
So
budget.
27, 28.
Yeah,
Yeah, the budget we're working on.
right. Correct. Right, they're not on the same cycle as
As the
the
teachers.
teachers, yes. To the secretary report?
So I've emailed the chairs. I'm hoping for our last meeting of the year to prepare like a full, like this is where
Thank
we
you.
are. Something like I could probably put an exhibit or I could hand
Yeah.
it to you.
Right,
I have a
thank you.
technical question about
Yeah, I was going to
minutes.
ask your question.
About what?
Go ahead.
Well, no, you can ask it because I,
I'm just wondering if if it's possible to access Google Drives of past committee members, thinking that these minutes might just be living in other people's now defunct
I have no idea.
Google accounts. Because I think we've kind of exhausted the
Yes,
search
the-
through
I
like
think,
everyone's.
right, I think
Yeah, we're all
we're
caught
looking
up.
at like
Like
exhibit,
2019.
things that are from
Yeah.
long ago. I don't know the answer to that question.
I will find out tomorrow.
I have no idea.
Not 100% sure, but I believe we could probably pull that off.
right, if we can talk to school committee members maybe who aren't here that we
Yeah.
know might have the minutes.
Yeah, and they also just might not exist, like that's, so, which is why I think moving forward, it's just such a good policy that immediately after the meeting, to provide Janelle with draft minutes, because at the very least, then they exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
She has them, and a future committee could look at the draft minutes and vote to approve them, and
Yeah.
then they would have them, so.
I know for me, a sticking point with minutes is formatting them into with like the header and
Oh,
all
but
that.
Janelle sent me a
But
nice link.
Janelle has a link, and Janelle is also willing to put minutes
Yes.
in that format. So if
Yes.
that's something that is barring you from sharing your minutes with Janelle, don't worry, she will help you out.
She will fix it.
Thanks, Janelle.
Yes. Okay. Anybody have anything else on minutes?
No.
Thank you, Julia, for that. Amy, do you have anything in our inboxes?
Inboxes have been very quiet.
Very quiet. All right. Well, maybe we'll get budget feedback now, which would be good. So I have on the chair's report, I wanted to make sure, this is really mostly for members of the public, to remind you all that Hamilton is holding a special town meeting on December 9th. So I just wanted to put that out there so that people know and remember to attend to participate in the process. Well, I guess I should say, one of the major topics is around the zoning at Gordon Conwell. So it's an important meeting. And then you had a couple things, Amy, on the doodle poll.
Oh, yes. So we've talked before about holding a workshop to kind of debrief about the elementary school project. I sent out a poll to see who is available when. We had 0 dates with total consensus, but we had 4 where 6 people were willing or
Okay.
able to meet. And really 3, because one of them was like a, if we have to. So,
I think that was me, and
That was you.
I said if I have to, so if I have to.
okay. Is it helpful if I report the dates and the members, or should I
Is
just?
this meeting separate from the workshop that we usually do?
In the summer?
You mean in the summer?
Yeah,
Okay, that's my question.
yes.
Yeah, no, this is, yeah. I mean, I guess date-wise, it's up to the committee. Do you want to sort of try to hash it out now, or do you want Amy to just send an email that says, these are the dates? I mean, I don't know who are the, somebody's going to miss it, is the deal.
Yes, somebody's going to miss one. The other thing to consider is if we're talking about the 7th,
Of,
7th of January, rather, to be one of the community conversations. You know, that, if, we could have a really long school committee day that day, or we could eliminate that day for that reason.
oh, is that one of
That's
the
one of the
dates
days,
that
sorry.
worked for people?
Yes. Tuesday, the 6th, everybody except Megan is available all day. And then Thursday, the 8th, we have a school committee meeting. So I put an option for a meeting an hour before our meeting. So if we feel like an hour is enough time,
Okay.
we could do that, minus one person. And then Monday, the 12th, sorry, I forgot the time. I think that was 4 to 6 in the afternoon. Everyone indicated they were available except for one person. So I don't know if it's a matter of just choosing one and rolling with it, but I do feel like that January 7th, because we already have an event happening, we should probably eliminate that day.
Yeah, maybe eliminate that day, and then maybe,
I'm sorry, January the 12th is a Monday. I put 10:30 to 12:30.
okay.
So
And
it's
you
in
had
the
six, again, that was one that had six.
That had six, yeah.
6 people. Okay. All right.
There's like 5,000 flashing
5,000
ads.
ads going on your doodle poll.
January 12th, 10:30 to 12:30?
All right, well, I don't have an answer, because it would be really nice to have everyone there, but that's also really difficult. Around the school committee, we didn't get a meeting, we didn't get everyone there?
We did, so that is
On the 8th.
6 people on the 8th from 6 to 7.
Okay,
That's this one.
okay. Oh,
So for that one, I don't know if an hour is enough time,
Yeah.
but so I don't know if we want to vote or just choose, because people did choose, basically.
I don't know.
No, for an hour is enough time.
What do you want to do?
Me?
Yeah,
I don't feel like an hour is enough time.
okay.
So I would kind of move towards the 12th, but that's a Monday.
Okay, and that is, Megan can't come, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not during the workday, no.
Yes.
Yep, that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally okay.
All right, I can't remember, because I did fill it out, but I don't remember what any of the dates were. I mean,
I I can make more dates, like we can definitely vote on more, but I mean, we've got some consensus. So
Yeah.
Tuesday the 6th, Wednesday the 7th, Thursday the 8th, the 10th, which is a Saturday.
The 7th might be one of Eric's community.
It
yes,
is,
that's
yeah,
what she
so I
was
think we
just
should
saying,
kind
yes,
of like
that maybe doesn't really work.
Squash that one.
And I'm sorry, you said there was a Saturday in there?
I put Saturday the 10th two
But
times.
that was not super popular.
Not super popular.
Yep, no, okay.
That is my birthday. I will not be.
We might have
We
cupcakes.
could get you excited.
As much as I enjoy spending time with you all.
My birthday too.
It's your birthday too.
No, it's not.
Okay. I don't know what to do about that. I'm sorry,
Okay, I mean,
was there one, is it me, that there was one that if I was willing to do it, we'd have all 7?
no, there's none that have all 7.
Even with me saying,
If you saying no,
well, like, one of them I said.
you said yellow. That was, no, even with that, we still have members that can't.
Okay.
I feel like that January the 8th, the hour before our meeting is probably easiest for everybody because it's kind of.
Yeah, I guess I sort of feel like that's right before a school committee meeting. I know somebody said they can't come, but it probably just means they're going to be late, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's as close as we can get to and I know maybe an hour is not enough, but at least
It's a start.
everybody, I think we could get, I don't know who it is. Oh, okay, well,
Is-
he's not here, so.
Yep.
Is that also, like, would it be worthwhile to do that before we do that meeting prior to the meeting where we get the report from the community feedback? So we're talking about everything all at once?
I was thinking that too, but I feel like the purpose of this workshop is to look back,
Yeah,
and the purpose of the conversations is to look forward. So I feel like it is kind of two separate,
yeah.
but
Well, I guess because I'm actually starting to get a little punchy.
Yes.
Let's, I usually have got some pretty good stamina till 10, but shall we, well, I guess I'm looking at trying to do it on the 8th. I don't think that's a long enough time, but I like the idea that it's right before committee meeting, so that even though I know we've got one person who says they can't come, but we can reach out and see if that can work, because it is a meeting anyway, a school committee meeting anyway. I don't know what other people think about that.
the January 8th.
Putting it in my calendar.
I know it's only an hour.
But at least we could start the
We
conversation.
could start the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, and then can you reach out to everyone and just say that, and then,
Yes.
thank you.
And we'll just meet here.
Yeah, I mean, we could meet in a room here, right? Yeah. I don't want to meet here.
That's not one I said I couldn't make, was it?
You said you could make that one.
Okay,
Does that still work?
yeah, that still works.
Okay, thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
And now, holiday boutique.
Oh, yeah. Emmy mentioned it, but
Yeah.
Saturday is the Holiday Boutique at the Winthrop School from 9 to 3. Lots of local vendors.
It's super fun.
It's super fun. Santa's coming this year.
Ooh.
He couldn't make it last year.
They got
We're
Santa.
disappointed. I'll be there as a silent auction, so come check it out.
Excellent.
And if you would like to volunteer, they're still looking for volunteers to help staff it, so that you can email me and I can hook you up with the list.
Excellent. All right. Topics for future meetings?
Can I just get one point of clarification?
Yep.
And he did a little more digging. Go back to the meeting, we talked about overrides. The last override in Wenham was in 2021 of $700,000 during COVID.
Yeah,
That the meeting outside in
2021?
the tent?
Yep.
Yes.
$723,000.
And that was the one I
So
was.
that would have been,
That was the other Chapter 70 money.
yeah, no, I remember,
Heard.
right.
Yeah.
So,
That would have been the 2021
It was before-
budget, or the 2020?
fiscal
For your
21.
birthday?
Before I was a member, I think.
Oh, yes, so that was before I was on the committee. I was like, I would remember that, but that was when I was elected, in that
April 2021?
craziness,
It was a
in the
single
midst of
town.
that.
Right, so the town.
The other ones go back to 2010.
Is that the E&D money we're carrying?
Yes, that's the 770 that, yes.
That's where it originated.
Thank you for that update.
Sorry.
No, that's good to know. I did not know that. All right, where was I? Topics for future meetings. Did you have something?
Budget.
Nothing. So during this meeting, I have figured out a problem that we need to think about, which is that the April town elections are now on April 16th. And we have a school committee meeting that day. I am going to check with the town clerks, but I think in the past that was sometimes problematic. And I think originally that wasn't when their election was. So I'm going to put that on a topic for future meeting.
Right.
Isn't that also April vacation?
No, the
No.
20th.
That's the following week.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's not, it's not,
filed in Spain, so.
yep, no, it's, no, it's not, yep, it's not school vacation, but, I'll just check with the town clerks, because I know that at one point we had,
I think that happened a couple of years
it
ago.
happened a couple of years ago, and the town clerks had let us know that we shouldn't do that. And we tried not to this time, and so I will check in and then I'll bring it back. Anybody else have any other topics for future meetings? Okay.
Motion to adjourn? I move that we adjourn the school committee meeting at 9:27 PM.
Second.
I need your signature before we leave.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. All those in favor?
Signatures.
That is 6 in favor, and the meeting is adjourned at 9:27.